Here in the UK, 1 in 7 people is said to be neurodiverse. It's a term describing people with conditions such as dyslexia, autism or ADHD. More and more employers are trying to attract people with neurodiversity. The British intelligence agency, GCHQ, has been doing so for more than 20 years. And a major record label has produced a book aimed at making the working environment more inclusive. Chichi Ozundu has more.
So this can be used to describe most neurodiversities. I typically use it to do either dyspraxia or autism. Put these goggles on and what they will do is turn your world upside down. Can you see?
Yes.
Now try and shake my hand. Pleasure to meet you.
Small gesture that happens all the time in a workplace. But what if you're neurodiverse? Neurodiverse people, those with ADHD, dyspraxia, dyslexia and the autism spectrum can sometimes struggle in a work environment. Something Universal Music UK wants to change. They acknowledge some of their work practices and processes were probably stopping neurodiverse people from even applying for jobs with them. So they did some research and have produced a handbook giving tips on how to make work more inclusive.
That's why we're doing it. You know, there's brilliant folks out there that we've already spoken to as part of this research that just wouldn't even consider applying to the likes of us or indeed many companies.
But not everywhere operates like Universal Music. 31-year-old Yvonne is a marketing consultant who works in a typical office.
So I am dyslexic. My D's and B's tend to get mixed up. I don't easily recognise errors in terms of spelling, punctuation and grammar. When I told my previous line manager, should I say, in regards to the fact that I was dyslexic, they worked pretty quickly and we were able to adjust my working environment to meet my needs.
For people who can read very well, but the odd word here and there they get stuck on.
And as Nat showed me, support is available from the government and will be needed if employers are to tap into the potential of neurodiverse staff. Chichi Ozundu, BBC News.
Well, I'm very pleased to say that Nat Hawley, who you saw in Chichi's report, joins me now. He's from the Exceptional Individuals Employment Agency. Nat, thanks for joining us. We saw a little bit in Chichi's report about what exactly it means to be neurodivergent. But what do you think that employers can benefit from employing more people who are neurodiverse?
Oh, well, thanks for having me. Well, I think to start with, a lot of people don't really understand what is neurodiversity and the difference between being neurodivergent, having learning difficulties. But the benefit really comes in the diversity of it. We talk so much about diversity, how we want people of different genders, different religions, different backgrounds, but I think we really forget, what do we really mean by diversity? We mean different ways of thinking, different perspectives. And that's what people with neurodiversity, like dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, can really bring to an organisation, a different viewpoint.
So give me an example of what an employer can do to make the workplace an easier place for a neurodivergent person to flourish.
Well, some of the advice that Exceptional Individuals gives to organisations is more flexibility. Normally, there's this end goal, and the role is as long as you get that goal done, the job's done. But there's normally such processes which people expect you to follow, and they're not really there for any particular reason. So by breaking them down, asking ourselves, why is this process in place, we can kind of restructure it. Another example is being more flexible with working at home, or allowing an office every now and then. For myself, I use my voice to dictate nearly all of my emails.
Why is that?
Because I can absolutely write, I can read, but it's something which takes far, far longer. It might take me like 20 minutes to write a good email. Let me use my voice, I can do it in 2 minutes.
There are examples of companies who've done really well, haven't they? For example, GCHQ, the government agency.
I think with those organisations, where they've succeeded where others have not is with the flexibility, understanding that rather than micromanaging people, give them the freedom to have the initiative to figure out the problem.
Neurodiversity, obviously, you know, is everywhere, all over the world. You've travelled, haven't you, and talked to people about this subject. How does the UK fare compare to other parts of the world? Well,
I recently got back from 4 months in the US to kind of see how it currently is. And the UK is by no means perfect, but it's definitely a lot further than a lot of other countries. I feel that countries such as the US and parts of Europe are still kind of getting to terms with diversity as a whole. And neurodiversity is that kind of one step that they're not quite there yet, but I definitely see a lot of progression in the area.
And what do you think companies could do now to improve things?
I think one of the biggest things is real understanding and education. I meet people on a daily basis while working at Exceptional Individuals, and people they're all very positive, they love meeting me, but when you really talk to them, their knowledge of even things like dyslexia isn't that strong. So have people like us come in and train them, speak to their teammates, rather than assume that you know what can make someone's life easier. Just ask them.
And if you were neurodivergent, would you put it on your CV, or would you tell a potential employer, or would you advise not to? What does one do?
I mean, it's a great question, and I would love to say always tell someone you're neurodivergent. Unfortunately, we don't really live in that world at the moment, and the way I normally judge it is case by case. If you do your research and you find out this company is already doing great stuff in diversity inclusion, they have their own networks, they've got policies in place, then the benefit of disclosing is really high. On the other side though, if they don't show any current understanding, I always go under the assumption that their knowledge is a bit outdated. You've got to be the one to educate them.
Okay, Nat, it's so good to have you on the programme. Thank you
Yeah,
very much
thank
for
you
talking
so
to us.
much.
Thank you.